Greetings, everyone. This is Gwen Allen Carston. I am the Executive Director for Kbac, Kent Black Action Commission, and we're located in the city of Kent, Washington. Today we're going to be hosting our candidates in this year's general election from the 33rd District and the 47th District. First of all, we want to congratulate all of those who have moved forward to this position in the general election. It says a lot about them and their campaigns and their ability to become successful. We're hoping that their excitement and their out meeting folks and talking to people about what's going on will continue to represent them whether they are in a seat or not. Our organization is focused on presenting a virtual candidates forum this year. We have done this in the past, and we were very successful at it, and we hope that we will have the same sort of success and support. We'd like to make sure that everyone gets to hear from our candidates, and sometimes everyone cannot participate in the physical candidates forum, but by doing this virtually, folks are able to sit at home, watch the presentation, and enjoy that time of their questions being answered or not, and then they can discuss it before they make their decisions. So with the general election being held on November 8th, we feel that today we can have time to present the candidates as they speak and see what they have to say. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this time together. It's a time of learning, a time of understanding, and a time of knowing what your place is in this election and for the city of Kent. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope you enjoy this presentation. I know I will. Have a great day.
Greetings and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Kent Black Action Commission Virtual Candidate Forum 2022. On behalf of Kbac, we thank you for your participation and for tuning into this forum. Our goal for this forum is to provide you, the voter, access to the candidates vying for your vote to become your elected representative. It is important for people to realize that to influence the legislative policies at the federal level, you must begin at the local and state levels. Again, I thank each of you for being here. My name is Carston. I am the Operations Manager and Senior Advisor to the Executive Director, Gwen Allen Carston. And in the interest of full disclosure, I'm also the husband of the Executive Director of Kbac, Gwen Allen Carston. Kbac, since the beginning in 2011, has been providing the local community with information and a voice to share their concerns to our local and state elected officials. Recently, one of those voices, a beloved member of Kbac, Charmaine Boston, lost her battle with brain cancer. Charmaine, as Kbac's community liaison, was present at and supportive of all Kbac-sponsored events. Charmaine supported events sponsored by Glover Empowerment Mentoring. Charmaine also supported community events sponsored by Althea's Louisiana's Cajun Store. Charmaine also worked at Showwear Center in the Food Services Department. We're all saddened by her passing, but we'll continue the work with her spirit in our hearts and in our involvement with the future of the city of Kent and Kbac. And now we have one more candidate for office, and that is SHUKRI OLOW. God, I hope I got that right. Ms. Olo is a Democrat running for position number 2 in the 47th Legislative District. And at this time, Ms. Olo will have an opening statement.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to share more about my story and my background. I want to give a special thank you to Mr. Charles, Miss Gwen, and my brother Davies for putting this forum together, and to the entire team at Kbac. I am so sorry to hear about Charmaine's loss. May her soul rest in power. My name is SHUKRI OLOW. I would love to tell you a little bit about who I am. I'll tell you about what I've done in community and the position that I'm running for, which is State Representative Position 2 here in the 47th Legislative District. The personal is that, like thousands of residents from the city of Kent, I am a proud refugee. I was originally born in Somalia and was able to resettle to the U.S. in 1996. Growing up right here in the city of Kent, I grew up in public housing and was loved on by so many community members, including teachers and social workers and people who saw my potential as a young person. And because of them and because of my incredibly persistent immigrant mom, I was able to pursue higher education. I went on to get my bachelor's and master's and doctorate in education from Seattle University. I'm also a mother of 2 young kiddos and a candidate for the State Rep Position 2. By day, I'm a division director at the City of Seattle, ensuring that investments go out to young people and their families, and I've worked in public service for the last 16 years. I'm running for this position. It's an open seat, an opportunity to serve and love on a community that has loved on my family when we needed it most. Our campaign is sole endorsed by the Washington Education Association, by the Washington State Labor Council, by Senator Mona Das, Representative Deborah Intiman, and so many community members who believe in our campaign's vision. I'm honored to be here, and thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you for that opening statement. Now we will begin with the questions. We have a series of 3 questions, and we'll start with question number 1. Statewide, there are a lot of old and outdated policies in the state of Washington. Do you think there needs to be a complete review and overhaul of policies to reflect the times we're living in, statewide and locally? What would that process look like? Can you elaborate or cite any actions that have been taken to make changes in that area?
Great question. I am curious about what a landscape analysis of our state level policies look like, and whether that review, that comprehensive review, has been done or the last time that it's been done, because I'm sure that there are a lot of laws in our state, whether it's health care or health access laws or education or housing and homelessness, that are needing to be refined and to be kept up with the current times that we're living in, incredibly difficult times for many community members, especially those who are at the intersections of oppression, Black and brown people in particular. And so I am in favor of an analysis of the type of policies that are currently in place, and to ensure a process whereby community is part of that level of engagement and feels like their wisdom and their brilliance is being tapped into to help inform the type of policies that we come up with.
Thank you. For question number 2, homelessness and its negative effect on our society nationwide is real. The 3 most common causes of homelessness in our country are mental illness, unemployment, and lack of affordable housing. Many people who are homeless do have jobs, sometimes 2 or 3. The National Coalition for Homeless estimates as many as 40 to 60% of people experiencing homelessness in our nation are employed. However, a paycheck does not necessarily solve their homelessness or other challenges. What suggestions do you have to help eradicate homelessness in Washington State in a positive and productive way? And what may be some of the potential challenges that would stand in the way of progress?
Great question, and one that I think is really nuanced. And if we sort of had the solutions to this question, then we would not be in the state or in the condition that many of our communities are in. And so I don't have necessarily breaking news sort of solutions to share with you that have not been talked about during the campaign, or that other elected officials have not explored as well. What I do know is, I'll start with the personal. So I was born in Somalia, but spent about 6 years of my life in a refugee camp, unsheltered. with millions of other refugees, and we lost a sibling during that incredibly difficult time to those conditions. And when we moved to the U.S. in 1996, my mother was raising 3 of us by herself as a widow, and we had access to a Section 8 voucher right here in the city of Kent in this public housing community called Birch Creek. Back in the day, it was called Springwood. And we lived in that unit, and that Section 8 subsidized housing was the safety net that my family needed. My mother was one of those people that worked 2 to 3 jobs in housekeeping and trying to make ends meet, right? And so what I do know on a personal level is that housing is a human right, and it is one that provides a safety net, an anchor for people so that they can get to their employment, so that they can take their kiddos to school, so that they can have an opportunity to create the kind of life that they all deserve. On the policy front, in addition to making sure that we have options and subsidized options for people to live in our community, I think the issue ultimately is one of supply, right? We don't have enough affordable housing options in this district, in the 47th, including the cities of Kent, Covington, and Auburn. And so we need to explore all options to ensure that we diversify our housing types in this community. And finally, I would say that when we talk about these issues, especially on housing and homelessness, it's not sort of a singular issue, right? There are many intersecting systems that impact this issue, including mental health, including access to childcare, behavioral health supports. And so we need to have a systems level lens when we come up or are intending to come up with solutions.
Thank you. Question number 3. Education is primarily a state and local responsibility in the United States. It is the states and communities, as well as public and private organizations of all kinds, that establish schools and colleges and develop curricula and determine requirements for enrollment and graduation. The rise of parents' rights groups have gained momentum during the pandemic across the nation, and they demand more say in what children learn in school. Do you support banning books from schools and libraries? Should laws be passed to limit what schools can teach about race, sex, or gender?
Great question, and one that I want to be thoughtful in sort of how I respond, because I know that as an educator, as someone who has a doctorate in education, that language matters, right? I mentioned my experience resettling to the U.S. in '96, and my first educational experience was at Crestwood Elementary in the city of Kent. I started at the age of 10. So in 5th grade, when you're brand new to the country, you're sort of just placed based on your age and not based on what you know. And I remember, I didn't have access to an education. My first teacher, Mrs. Christy Kelly, would give me all the books to try to read and learn quickly, because she knew that we needed that extra support in the classroom and beyond. And so books actually saved my life. It created an opportunity for me to learn more about the complicated sort of history of our nation. It taught me to understand my place in it as a refugee. It taught me a great sense of identity, of curiosity, of exploration. And so I can't imagine a nation without books. I can't imagine children who do not have access to books. That access and exposure and an ability to critically think about our issues and our environments and our local sort of surroundings are important to children, right? And I was one of those children. And so, no, I do not support a ban on books. I think, this is not the country that we are, right? We are a democracy. And in a democracy, people deserve access to information. I was also one of the parents who was proudly standing in solidarity with educators and librarians a few months ago when the district was looking at banning an LGBTQ book called Jack of Hearts. And I remember sharing my experience of feeling, seen and heard and valued in the classroom because of the types of books that I had access to, and knowing what that could feel like for children who are from the LGBTQ community and other communities to see themselves. And so that's what books do. and I am in support of making sure that we continue that kind of environment in this district and hopefully beyond.
Alrighty. Well, those are the three questions we have for you. So now it's time for your closing statement.
Thank you, Mr. Charles, for the opportunity to share more. Thank you, Ms. Gwen, for all that you do for our community. You are seen and loved, and you deserve all the flowers, and so I hope you're getting that. I want to thank you all for watching. I want to thank you all for staying engaged, because you are what makes our democracy work, right? By listening and talking to the elected officials and candidates and voting. The election is coming up. Ballots are being mailed starting next week. I want to encourage you to vote. In terms of what I'll say, I think especially on the Democratic side, our issues and sort of our values are similar, right? But what makes me unique is the experience that I have when I meet with young people, especially Black and brown youth in our schools, like I did earlier in the week at Ken Meridian. I'm going to Kent Lake next week. And when these young people who often share a similar lived experience see someone like themselves running, that does something to their psyche, that shows them that their dreams are valid and that there is no limit to their potential. And so I'm running to make sure that we are a reflection of our incredibly diverse community. The city of Kent is the 7th most diverse in the nation, and we deserve leaders who not only look like us, but also speak to the issues and are committed to finding solutions for all of our communities. And so thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to earning your support by November 8th, electshukri.com. Thank you.
And thank you.
Hello friends, my name is Kyle with a very long and a little bit complicated last name is LYEBYEDYEV, and I'm running for a House of Representative in the 47th Legislative District, position number 1. A little bit about myself. I've been born and raised back in Ukraine, while the Ukraine been still under the control of the USSR. I've been raised in a military family, and from a very little age, I got American dream in my heart. And that's why in 2002, I immigrated from Ukraine into the United States of America just to pursuing my American dream. In 2004, I got married, and then my American dream actually started a little bit differently than I can expect it. It started with me holding 2 to 3 jobs for about a couple of years, and then in 2006, I opened up my small business, and my American dream started coming closer and closer and closer. As of now, I'm a successful business owner. I'm a devoted husband and a father of 3 kids. Well, I mean, they're all almost teenagers, all of them, so it's 3 teenagers. I am a homeowner. I am a public servant. I serve currently as a Sunday school director in a local church. And I'm running for the House of Representatives just because I want to repay a favor that this community did for me. They've always been there, they've been always supportive, and running for the House of Representatives, it's one of the ways that I can achieve that goal. And I can stand there and be a voice so every single person of our community will achieve their own American dreams. And that's why I'm running. Everything going forward, and there is actually quite a bit of those outdated policies within the Washington state. For example, I believe in 2004, agronomics, which is a study of employment, health and behavior in the working spaces, they introduced a policy that had been implemented for the employers basically to check how many times an employee lift their hands, how many times they kneel, how many times they lift up something heavier than the 10 or 15 pounds. In the first glance, that policy actually is great because it's designed to make fewer injuries at the workplace. But in the long run, this is just doesn't work. Those implemented policy on the businesses, on the employers, instead of saving money as the state claimed, it will take in about $720 million to implement them. So it's just a small example, and there is those policies in the legislature that we can actually amend it or reverse them or completely abolish them. The process will not be easy. It will take some time. It will take some time to find those policies, to bring them back on the floor and start discussion about them. Well, it is a humongous and big issue, not just only in our state, as the question says, it is nationwide. There is no easy solution. I mean, I'll be honest. There is no easy solution, and with a blink of an eye, we're gonna fix that problem. But if we're gonna look on the policies that have been recently implemented, and if we're gonna look how much money been spent on it, you clearly can tell that those policies are not working. They're just not working. So we have to stop and to look from another way and try to do a different way. Let's say, for example, the homelessness. So yes, there is a lack of affordable housing. There is a lack of any type of the housing right now. We're short on the units. So why we cannot, and we will, and we have to reach out to the private sector, to the private investors and corporations who are willing to invest and work with the state and in a much faster way to build those units. I'm not just talking about just a simple studios or apartments, big and tall and wide. No, there is a lot of different options. There is a duplexes, there is a condos. So the private sector can be crucial in helping to solve this. Then the other parts, first we have to identify the root of the problem, why people are actually living on the streets. And then there is a couple of them. There is a mental illness, there is addictions to any type of a substance, or there is just economical failures of the person and hard times for them. So as soon as we're going to identify that, then we can properly address the issue and ask those people, like, look, you struggling with addiction, you have to get some help. There is a rehabs. We can reach out to the nonprofit organization that's running those rehabs, and they actually can provide a lot of services for those people. And then, as soon as those people will getting their things back together, they can be back from the streets to the housing. And by that time, hopefully, we're going to have a lot of them built brand new. As a father of 3 kids, we've been in any type of the schools, in the public and private. I just want you to remember one thing. In our schools, it's not about teachers. It's not about government. It's not even about a school board. It's about our kids. So parents getting the children, the kids, and trusting them to school, so the school will properly educate them and equip with the tools, with the knowledge that will put those kids in the future on the road of success. So I would be always advocating for transparency. The parents is the one who have to see what actually curriculum a school teaching, not the government, not even the school board, because the school board is elected by those parents. I would be advocating for example, for a trade education. We can teach even the simple construction in the I'm just construction business owner, so that's why I'm talking about construction. But the simple construction in the small grades, in the 4th grade, in a proper way, so they will understand. But in the future, in the long run, if we're going to implement those trade educational systems, they will give those kids understanding who they want to be and how things works, which is going to help them actually thrive in the future. And of course, there is no reason for implementing any sort of sexual implicit books in the schools. For example, I believe recently it was a big discussion, Jackson Heart and other parts or something. There is no reason for it. The kids have to be kids. They go to school to get simple knowledge that will put them in the road of success in the future, which is the reading, writing, math, PE, but not implementing and sexualizing our kids. And I want to leave you something in the end. My friends, I'm humbly asking for your vote. For your vote, because when you're going to vote, remember, it's not about political party. Left, right, middle, up, down. It's about all of you. It's about all our communities. So choose wisely. Don't choose the party, but choose your heart. Choose your future. Choose the policies. Choose the person who you believe will fit better for our community, who will actually implement those policies that will help our communities, our people thrive and be successful. So hopefully you will choose me. I'm asking for a vote. I'm Kyle Lebedev, 47 Legislative District, Position 1. Thank you.